I remember touring Tesla's Fremont factory ahead of the official reveal event for the Tesla Model S like it was yesterday. I remember asking a younger, slightly more chill Elon Musk about supercapacitors and EV charging. And I remember getting super excited when we set eyes on the Model S for the very first time. And while it does feel like yesterday, it was actually October 2011, 9 years ago. And this year marks the 8th year of production for Tesla's original mass-produced car. Yeah, I know the Roadster came before, but 2,500 examples isn't exactly mass production. Tesla Model S, for the most part, has retained its value over the years. Even early Model S examples have depreciated very little over time when compared to other cars of a similar market segment and age. And thus, they've stayed out of the price range for many car buyers eager to get behind the wheel of an electric car. Instead, they have, for the most part, needed to be content with other electric cars made by other companies. Buyers, not Teslas, obviously. Of course, if you're willing, there's always the salvage route. As our friend Rich Benoit from Rich Rebuilds has shown time and time again, it's possible to get a cheap Tesla if you're willing to buy one that's been deemed an insurance write-off. And in fact, we do have a video coming with Rich that we filmed at Fully Charged Live to share soon. Even though since filming it, it's now become accepted that buying a salvage Tesla and putting it back on the road is less beneficial than it once was because Tesla is blocking salvage Teslas from its supercharger network. Luckily though, it is now becoming increasingly common to see used, higher mileage Model S cars pop up on websites like cars.com for under $30,000. And of course, if you're in other markets around the world, the same is true. Although, because Tesla started its Model S rollout in the US, I'm going to admit you'll have a better chance of finding a pre-loved Model S for under $30,000 in the United States than you will anywhere else in the world. Anyway, at the $30,000 price point, these used Model S have become more interesting options for those who are in the market for an electric car. After all, these earlier models still have supercharging, they have impressive range, and as we've seen time and time again, don't have the same battery degradation problems that other electric car models have. And of course, they are Teslas, all for less than the price of a new Tesla Model 3, or pretty much any other new non-Tesla out there. But should you save money and go for a used Model S from 2012, 2013 or 2014? Should you save up your money and buy a Model 3 instead? Or should you go for another electric vehicle altogether? I think the answer does depend on what you need your next car to do. If load carrying and the extra space aren't important, but you do want a Tesla, you are probably going to be better off with a used Model 3 or a used electric vehicle from a mainstream automaker. As usual, when buying an electric car, I would advise anyone looking to buy that they take a spin in the car that they are considering buying before actually exchanging money. I would also advise sitting down and trying to figure out exactly what your car is or will be used for on a daily basis, as well as your priorities for said new car. So let's look at what you might get in a 30 grand Model S. On the face of it, buying a pre-loved Model S for under $30,000 does seem like a great deal, and plenty of YouTubers, including Hoovy from Hoovy's Garage, have done just that, making fantastic and entertaining content into the bargain. Model S has more luggage space than pretty much any other sedan out there, electric or otherwise, and because most of the sub $30,000 Model S cars out there are pre-late 2014, meaning that they are rear-wheel drive only, they do actually have more frunk space than the all-wheel drive variants. You may even be able to find a 7-seat Model S variant for that magic price point. Aside from Europe, where you can get 7-seat electrics in the form of the Nissan ENV200, I can't think of any other electric car on sale at that price used with the capability of carrying more than 5 people. If you've got kids and you do need those 2 extra seats, then a used Model S is well worth a look. Additionally, if you have pets who like to ride with you and you can't give them a human seat, the rear load bay of a Model S, thanks to its hatchback design, is certainly capable of handling all but the largest of dogs. What about interior trim? Well, that will depend on what spec your car originally came with. White seats in Teslas are a bit notorious for staining easily, as they are in most cars, but for the most part I haven't heard a whole lot of Tesla interiors suffering too much from wear and tear, unless the car in question is super, super high mileage. Which brings me to the car's mechanical bits and pieces. While we know Tesla's battery packs are pretty long-legged, early Model S cars did have some issues with the drivetrain and motor, so any out-of-warranty Model S, most at this price point will be in that boat, should be checked to see if they've had any repairs or replacements done by Tesla in the past. Luckily, replacement of drivetrains is said to be a pretty simple process though, although I'm not actually sure what the costs would be to do that. I should throw in too that while most early Model S owners have minimal reliability issues or complaints, one thing I do hear from many is that the Model S interior, thanks to how quiet the car is, can squeak and rattle a bit as the car ages. If you're okay with that, carry on, but if you're someone who is easily distracted by noises and squeaks, yeah, I'm one of those. Make sure you test drive the puppy first. The only other thing you should probably bear in mind, the car's massive touchscreen computer and failures in the flash memory chips inside them. You see, while Tesla's onboard computer systems log all of the essential information pertaining to the car's operation to an internal SD card, the infotainment computer behind the touchscreen uses flash memory as a dumping ground for an insanely large amount of diagnostic logging. Flash memory was never designed for frequent read and writes, and ultimately early Tesla touchscreen displays are starting to fail as their flash memories reach the end of their useful life. Luckily, you can get it replaced by a handful of third-party specialists, or you could go for Tesla's upgrade service, but neither of these are exactly cheap, so bear that in mind, otherwise you'll have a touchscreen display that doesn't work. Then again, most service items for Teslas aren't cheap, which actually may be a negative if that's something you're worried about. Nor can you do much in the way of DIY service unless you're in that elite group of engineers who don't mind figuring out novel ways to fix their cars when Tesla doesn't want to sell them parts or even let them fix their cars. Anyway, back to the subject of computers. Let's talk software. Thanks to Tesla's fantastic ability to keep your car updated years after it left the factory, you'll get the same over-the-air software updates that newer Teslas get, but you will miss out on most 30 grand Teslas here is some kind of autopilot functionality. But that's because Autopilot wasn't introduced until late 2014, and only then with version 1 hardware. Any idea you've got about having a 30 grand Model S with Autopilot functionality is, well, a pipe dream unless you are really lucky and can find a 14 or a 15 superly low priced. No Model S at that kind of price for now will likely to have Autopilot. I'm sorry. For some people, this might be a deal breaker, but I should note here that Model 3s are coming onto the used car market at similar prices, although there are only a few of them, and they can operate with Autopilot functionality. So while I'm on the subject, the entire list of what was introduced onto Teslas at which time is quite daunting, and so I'd recommend that you check full spec lists of any Tesla you're looking to buy used, as there can be a lot of difference between cars of even the same year or the same month of production. Which brings me to the final thoughts. A used 30,000 Model S is a lot larger than most other electric cars out there, has a far better performance, and will likely have a lot more range and be a lot more enjoyable on long distance trips thanks to supercharging. But bear in mind that when things do need replacing on Teslas, they aren't generally cheap, and unlike some of the competition in a similar price point, you're going to be driving a 6 to 8 year old car with a likely higher mileage than other options. And with that higher mileage and older age means the likelihood of needing replacement parts is higher. It's the same for any vehicle. If you're okay with that, go ahead and give a used Model S a try. The supercharging alone will be a massive draw for some. But here's the thing, unless you really need the hatchback or the space of the Model S, I'd be tempted to keep my eyes open for a Model 3 if owning a Tesla is important to you. It'll be newer, most will still be under warranty, and you'll get autopilot capabilities. Plus, if Tesla's promise of a robotaxi gets through regulatory approval, you could maybe even earn some money in the bargain in the future. If owning a Tesla isn't so important, or you don't make long distance trips, honestly, I might look at some of the alternatives out there. At the moment, there are some pretty great used car deals on almost new cars. I'm talking about cars like the Nissan Leaf, Chevy Bolt, Kia e-Niro, BMW i3, Hyundai Kona, and others, all of which are usually under a year old at about 30 grand and will have very low mileage and almost full warranty. Of course, they're not Teslas and they don't have supercharging, but most do have DC quick charging, which, as I've covered in recent videos, is becoming far more ubiquitous than it once was. And of course, there are new cars. While you cannot get a new Tesla for less than $30,000 before incentives, I'm seeing more and more automakers offer deep discounts on brand new EVs, most noticeably Chevy Bolts right now, in an attempt to shift stock models before the end of the current model year. As always though, whichever car you decide to buy, you should take some time checking it out and driving one and thinking about your needs before you pull that trigger. That's it. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to help us make more videos like this, please do like, comment and subscribe. You can send us a couple of dollars our way every month through Patreon, or you can feed our coffee habit by heading to Ko-fi. I'll be back soon with more content for you all to enjoy, but until then, stay safe, wash your hands and keep evolving.